Well, here we go again. Anthony Albanese is giving himself a pat on the back, saying that he's offering a lifeline to Tuvalu citizens threatened by climate change. Note the word threatened. And of course, this is supposed to, quote, enhance Australia's position as a trusted, principled regional power. God, I tell you what, I am sick of all this stuff. We hear that the government of Tuvalu, or Tuvalu, or whatever you want to call it, has been asking Australia to resettle citizens since 2001. So last Friday, after we're told months of behind-the-scenes negotiations, the world's first bilateral agreement on climate mobility. There, cop that, bilateral agreement on climate mobility. Well, so there we've now got the Australia, Tuvalu, Philippili Union Treaty of the Pacific Islands Forum by Prime Minister Anthony Albanese and the Tuvalu Prime Minister was signed. Now, Tuvalu is a little island nation in the Pacific. It's part of the British Commonwealth. It's got 9 islands. It's got a population of 11,000. And we're told that if you listen to the climate change alarmists, it's going to be one of the first countries to be, quote, significantly impacted by rising sea levels due to global climate change. It will be somewhere down the track. Funny that, because the latest study by Professor Paul Kench of Auckland University shows that Tuvalu has grown, not shrunk, and is 2.9% larger than it was 40 years ago. And the Bureau of Meteorology shows fewer cyclones over the past 50 years. Now, interest rates are going up because we want to stop people from spending where the spending is the driving force behind inflation. But as I said last week, and I say again now, the biggest spenders are the Commonwealth Government. So at this Pacific Island Forum in the Cook Islands, the Prime Minister became, as Andrew Bolt brilliantly described it today, the great white chief of the latest cargo cult. He's going to give them $350 million for climate schemes. Somewhere else I've spoken about the fact that he's going to support a Papua New Guinea rugby league side. On top of the $2 billion he's promised for climate financing around the world. And now Albanese has told the Tuvalu Prime Minister, his 11,000 people, that all of them will be entitled to permanent residency in Australia. But initially, a special pathway will be created for 280 citizens to come annually. And they'll have permission to study, work and live in Australia. And Australia will provide security assistance to Tuvalu in response to major natural disasters and health pandemics. You just wonder where these stunts are going to end. And how does Prime Minister Albanese justify Tuvaluans as climate refugees when there is no catastrophe? Or does this have something to do with a matter before the federal court? A couple of Torres Strait Islanders are suing the Commonwealth Government, claiming it has breached its duty of care to protect them from the impacts of climate change. Nothing yet, but something down the track. They're going to be affected. And the government's defence is unbelievable. The applicants in the case against the federal government present all sorts of information and scientific models, but the federal government's solicitor, representing the Albanese government, has argued that, quote, the models or projections referred to are estimates or approximations based on, amongst other things, the available information and the scientific understanding at the time. And the assumption as to future GHG, that's greenhouse gas emissions, and removal rates with attendant uncertainty as to which, if any, of the modelled rates and outcomes are most likely to occur, unquote. Now, this is precisely what many of us have been arguing from day one. Estimates and models and assumptions. I mean, you've got to say this slowly. The solicitor says, OK, look, we're not responsible for any of this. You're complaining about climate change and the impact on your lives. Well, the solicitor is saying, well, hang on, there's a lack of precise quantitative studies of projected impacts of sea level rises at global temperature increases of 1.5 degrees and 2 degrees centigrade. In other words, even at 1.5 and 2 degrees, we don't have any evidence that that's going to affect anybody. There is a lack of precise quantitative studies. We're lied to on coronavirus, weren't we? We're lied to about the economy. We're lied to here on this. We're lied to about energy. Government telling lies and get away with it. But of course, the solicitor here can't lie in the federal court. he will be regarded as guilty of perjuring himself.